Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where it's Fistamafel Day. Yay! This is the latest puzzle from the mighty Fistamafel. It's called Yin Yang Kropki Sudoku. It has quite a long rule set, but I've absolutely no doubt it will be magnificent, for every puzzle that comes forth from the mind of Fistamafel is magnificent. And I'll read you the rules in just a second, and we've got an example as well today, so that should help us to understand what's going on. A few things to mention actually before we kick off today. I'm going to start with a crossword related piece of news. This happened, which struck me as being a bit akin to the 4-minute mile in terms of crossword solving, at least certainly in terms of American crossword solving. This is Paulo Pasco's Twitter account, and he tweeted that on Monday he solved the New York Times daily crossword in 53 seconds. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever tried the New York Times crossword. There are a lot of definitions, there are a lot of clues you have to solve, and 53 seconds is absolutely startling. And even some of the great and good of the American crossword community, some previous winners of the American crossword puzzle tournament, tweeted their response to this as just jaw-dropped. Absolutely astonishing. So there is definitely a new kid on the block so far as speed solving is concerned, at least over in the States. Fabulous stuff. Now the next thing I wanted to share with you, well, it's a birthday message, but it was an email that we got from Jakob Puringer, whose birthday it is today, as you will see. And I thought this was very touching, and Jakob said we could share it with you, so I'm going to do just that. Dear Simon and dear Mark, my name is Jakob, and on Thursday the 28th of April it will be my 23rd birthday. Another year has gone by, and it is always a reason for me to reflect on the things I have done and the things that have happened. Birthdays are never easy for me, since the bad things often seem to outweigh the good. I have been dealing with depression and insomnia for many years now. Your videos have been a great help for me, as they have not only given me something to look forward to, but something to help me to get my brain to work more logically. They have more often than not helped me to get some urgently needed sleep, and I mean this in the best possible way, or the best way possible. For my birthday, I wanted to share some love with people, so if you can spare some time, I would hope that you could tell our fellow lovers of the cryptic that no matter what anyone might be going through, there is always hope, and there can always be joy. Life is precious, and the greatest gift there is. The sun will rise tomorrow, and even if it may be covered by clouds, it will give us light and warmth. Love is there for everyone that can let it into their heart. Take your chance and walk with your head held high, and keep on cracking the mysterious puzzle that our beautiful life on this earth is. Your fellow Sudoku lover from Austria, Jakob. So I think especially that second paragraph there is so poignant, and thanks to Jakob for sending that. Jakob, I hope you have a brilliant 23rd birthday, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this video will wish you the same. So keep an eye on the comments. I think you'll find some nice messages there. Anything else to mention? Yes, one more thing, which is that over on Patreon, it is very nearly time for our May monthly reward. As Mark hinted last night, we've been working on something that will have an easy mode and a hard mode. But yeah, it's a very nice set of puzzles for the monthly reward for May. I can tell you that with some certainty. And yeah, that'll be coming out in just 3 days' time, so look out for it there. Also, of course, over there right now, we've got the Kinlux Sudoku hunt, which so many of you have been enjoying. That's also worth a look. Now, all that said and done, you know what time it is. It's Fistamafel time. Let's get on with Yin Yang Kropki Sudoku, and these are the somewhat extensive rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Colour the cells black and white, such that the set of each colour is orthogonally connected, and no 2x2 area is covered by only one colour. The given grey dots indicate that the two connected cells have the same colour. If a grey dot is between two black cells, their digits are in a 1:2 ratio. If a grey dot is between two white cells, their digits are consecutive. All possible grey dots are given, and then it says, i.e., at the end of the puzzle, when all the cells are coloured and all the numbers are entered, two adjacent black cells may contain digits in a ratio of 1 to 2 only if there is a grey dot between them. Similarly, two adjacent white cells may contain consecutive numbers only if there is a grey dot between them. The following scenarios are possible without any problems, and actually I've got an example here, so let me put that up in case that's going to help us to understand. The following scenarios are possible without any problems. Two consecutive numbers in adjacent black cells. Yes, okay, because the black cells are sort of obeying the black Kropke dot relationship. Two digits in the ratio 1 to 2 in adjacent white cells. Well, that 1 and 2 there, for example, that seems to be, well, that's because they're consecutive, I suppose. 3 and 6 there, you can see, would be in a black dot relationship had they been black, but they're not, they're green. And any relationship between digits in adjacent cells with different colour. Okay, but let's put that to one side for a moment and see if we can understand just the nature of this grid. So what you can see, and the reason that this is based on a logic puzzle called Yin Yang, which I have seen before, and in fact I set a listener crossword based a little bit about this a few years ago. But basically you can see the grid has been divided into green and black, and the green and black shapes are connected in one continuous region each. And then having done that, what we need to do is then decide which of the regions is obeying the white dot relationship and which is obeying the black dot relationship. And then you can see that the grey cells here, they're the black dot relationship, so the 6s and 3s are adjacent on those dots. I see, so the grey dots become effectively black dots thereafter. It's a wonderful idea, as always. I love the way that Fistemafel is basically hybridizing so many puzzle types at the moment. Well, anyway, let's have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking and see what Fistemafel has in store for us. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start by telling you about 2 bits of logic that you need to know to solve any complicated yin-yang puzzle at all. And the first piece of logic is that you can never divide the perimeter into too many different types of colours. And let me show you why. If you thought this was a possible arrangement of dots, you would be wrong in this puzzle, because however you connect these orange dots together across the grid, it wouldn't matter what shape you did, however you connected them. How could you ever connect those blue dots together? You can't. And that tells us immediately that we need to change the colour of one of these dots to make it work. So let's change this one. And that's a hint to a fact that is true of all yin-yang puzzles, which is that the perimeter in a yin-yang puzzle can only take 2 colours. And that's often very important. So you can see again, if we try to introduce an orange anywhere along this blue strip except at the very ends, if you try and make this cell orange, then to connect this orange to this orange, you have to, however you do it, however long the route is that you take, you're always going to isolate that blue cell. So the perimeter in a yin-yang puzzle will always be just 2 colours. Now, there is an extension of that logic which can be important, which is to do with checkerboarding. Let's look at that. So if you have a checkerboard pattern in a 2x2 in a yin-yang puzzle, you've broken the puzzle. And it's for a similar reason. You've got to connect these oranges together. And whatever route you take to do that, whether you go around the bottom of the grid or across the top of the grid, how are you now going to connect this blue to this blue without crossing the path? And that's not going to work. So we're going to have to make sure in this puzzle we don't have any 2x2s that are checkerboarded. And now, having given you all my yin-yang tips, let's see if we can do the puzzle. Now, so our first decision, I think, is going to be to work out, well, I was going to say, do we start with dots or do we start with yin-yang? And I am tempted to say that you can't start with dots, can you? Because even in rows or columns where we've got lots of dots, because we know those dots are all the same colour, but we don't know that they could be a different colour. So if this was consecutive dots, that could be something like 1, 2, 3, and then that could be 4, 8. Or this could, I mean, easier, this could be 7, 8, 9, and then this could be 3, 6, 1, 2, or 2, 4, if it was a different colour to this. So I am very sceptical that we start this with dots. I think we're going to have to start with yin-yang. So I think we need to probably start with the perimeter. So let's highlight every dot that hits a perimeter. Right, so those. Now, can we see anything clever about these? Because we know that we can't sprinkle these domino colours around these dominoes. We've got to be a bit careful about how they're coloured in. So, hang on, let me think about this. We can say that I can say those two have to be different, because if those two were the same, how on earth are we going to fill these this 2 by 2 in the top left of the grid? There's no option, because we can't put an orange in there because it could never get out. So we have to make it all blue, and that's going to mean we have a 2 by 2 of one colour, which we're not allowed to have in yin yang. So that tells us that we've got to have that these are different. The one of them is orange, one of them is blue. I'm going to use orange and blue rather than black and white, just because I believe that they are the best colours for colour blindness. So now let's have a look at these dots around the grid again that hit the borders, and see if we can see something clever. That one as well. So if this one was blue, I'm just going to make all of these perimeter things green for a moment and think about this one. If this one was blue, this would have to be orange, and that would have to be blue. So we get a U pentomino of blue. If this is orange, it's a little bit interesting. If those are orange, this one explicitly has to be orange, and that would have to be blue, because if this one was blue and this one was orange, to get the orange out, this blue would be isolated. So we always end up with a U pentomino, depending on what colour this is. We either end up with that U pentomino or this U pentomino. So yes, okay, so one thing we can conclude there is that those digits, these three cells are all the same colour. But we don't know, I don't think, whether that colour is blue or orange. Now, this one, I probably want to focus on the ones further away though, because that's going to force perimeterage. But let's just think about this one. If this was orange, this would have... Oh well, actually, if that was blue, I'm just thinking about the fact that we can only divide the perimeter into 2 regions. So if this was blue, then all of this perimeter would have to be blue by the logic we did earlier. That would be a lot of blue. These would be blue. This would be blue. We've got all sorts of 2 by 2s going on there. 2 by 2 avoidage. Let me just think about this for a moment. Right, okay. So I think I've started this in the wrong place, haven't I? Okay, right. Well, it's been useful because now at least I've understood how to start this. I think what we need to do is not focus up here, actually, is to focus on these two and ask whether these two can be the same colour. So let's look at that. Is it possible that these are both blue? And I'll do it for orange in a minute, and I think we'll get the same answer. And if these are both blue, oh no, maybe it is important. Actually, maybe it is important, because you have to have, knowing these are different actually forces the direction of the boundary here. It forces these two cells. So actually, maybe this is not so stupid. Right, look, let's think about this. Now, if these are both blue, we know that they must connect here, because they cannot connect round the top, because they would bump into an orange. So we'd have to do this. Now we have to avoid 2 by 2s, so those both have to be orange. And now this domino breaks the puzzle, because we can't make this orange, or we've got a 2 by 2 of orange, and we can't make it blue, because then we've isolated the orange. Don't isolate your orange in this puzzle, or you will have troubles. Now, that logic, I think, is identical if we make these orange, isn't it? Because now, again, I can't connect around the perimeter through this blue, so I have to connect directly, and I've got exactly the same argument. These can't be blue, because if they're blue, this is either a 2 by 2 of blue, or it's an isolated blue domino. So, what we now know, oh, this is so gorgeous, right? We know loads of things now. We know loads of things. We know these are different. Now, how could the order be this order? Well, it can't be, because that's just an extension of what we did at the start. I've got to connect this blue to this blue, and however I do that, I'm going to isolate the oranges from each other. So it must be the other way round. That's orange, that's blue. Now look, keep the perimeter into just 2 segments, so those all turn blue. Keep this all orange. Get rid of the greens where necessary. Extend this to be, we know those two are the same colour. And all of a sudden we have a massive start in this puzzle. Right, now avoid 2 by 2, avoid 2 by 2, avoid 2 by 2. All of those turn blue. Avoid 2 by 2, avoid 2 by 2, avoid 2 by 2. All of those turn orange. The oranges have to connect, so this has to be orange. Oh, this is so fun, isn't it? Now those can't be orange, because if they're orange, these blues can never meet their friends ever, and that would be very unkind of us. So they must be blue. That means this is orange to avoid a 2 by 2. That means this is blue to avoid a 2 by 2. Now what's this? This has to include a blue, and only one blue. Yeah, it has to include one blue, because we must get this blue out. But if it was 2 blues, we'd have a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2, and that would be too many 2 by 2s. That's a lot of 2s in that sentence. So this is one of each, which I don't have a colour for yet. Let's use purple. Purple means that the domino is one of each colour. Now, right. So, simple. That can't be blue, because if that's blue, it's making a 2 by 2, so that's got to be orange. Which, is that putting pressure on this? If this is now orange, then to get this blue out, we've got to come through here. So if this is orange, this is blue. If this is orange, this is blue. And if this is blue, that's going to be orange. And that's going to be orange. Oh, hang on a minute. That's interesting, actually, because I've just noticed there's a checkerboard consideration around here. So if this is orange, because this is... Oh, did I just do this the other way around? Now I'm not getting a checkerboard, am I? Oh, no. Right, no, this is interesting. This is... Right, I'm going to look at this domino, I think. So firstly, let's ask if it's orange, what happens. Now, if it's orange, this has to be blue. And then my checkerboard consideration is here. Remember, we can't have a 2 by 2, which is a checkerboard, which turns this blue. Once this is blue, this has to be orange. Okay, so I want to remember that when we have an orange there, we had an orange there. And let's back this up now and try this with blue here, which is what originally gave me my thought about checkerboarding. Because now, to get this orange out, we have to make this orange, and then we have to avoid a checkerboard, which means this cannot be blue, and it's orange again. So whether this is blue or it's orange, that is always orange. Which is going to give us a blue cell here to avoid a 2 by 2. Oh, that's deeply distressing, isn't it? That's not done anything. No. Okay. Do I now know something about these that I'm not appreciating? I probably do, but I was just wondering whether I could use. No, I can't, because I don't know what colour these are. I was thinking if these were black dots, does that put pressure on this digit? It doesn't actually. There are 6 possible black dot digits in a Sudoku: 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. So there would all those. If this was, well, 2 conditions. If orange was black dots and this was orange, all 6 of those digits would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8, and these would be 5, 7, and 9. So that would have to be orange then. But they're right. This is bifurcation. We're not doing that. Okay. So what on earth am I meant to look at next? This is always where it gets very painful with Mr. Maffel, because he will have injected the puzzle with nuggets of genius, and if we can't find them, the inadequacies of my brain will be laid bare before you. Let me think. Can we? I don't even know where to look, to be honest. Oh, right, no. I can do something simple down here. I don't think this can be blue, because aren't I going to isolate this if that's blue? So if that's blue, this square, to avoid a 2 by 2, has to be orange. And this, now, to avoid a 2 by 2, has to be blue. And now I've got a triomino of orange there that can never see its friends again, and we've ended up being unfriendly. So this must be orange. Now these can't both be... Oh, I see. Right, this is purple, isn't it? This is one of each. One of these has got to be orange to get this out, but they can't both be orange, because that would create 2 by 2s of orangeness. So this is purple. And oh dear. What do I do now? I don't have enough intuition about this puzzle to know which of these dots is susceptible to investigation, really. I can avoid a checkerboard there. If that is blue, I have to make this blue, because otherwise I've got a 2 by 2 checkerboard. So that's got to be, if this is blue, that's blue. That would make this orange, which would make this blue. Oh, that's broken. Right, okay, here we go. This is not blue, because if it's blue, because I have to make this blue to avoid a checkerboard, I've now got 2 by 2 possibilities in both those squares, which forces both of those to be orange. And now this cell has broken, because if I make it blue to avoid a 2 by 2 in orange, then I've got a checkerboard, and I can't have one of those either. So actually, I know that this domino is orange, which means this is blue, Oh, that's huge. Right. Let's come to this domino now. That domino can't be yellow because that's going to create 2 by 2 of yellow. So that's blue. Oh, this is beautiful. Now this domino can't be blue because that's going to create a 2 by 2 of blue. So that's orange. These have to both now be blue to avoid 2 by 2s. This... Right, you can't make both of these blue. And you can't make we can't make neither of them blue, or this would be isolated. So that's purple. That's another purple domino. This doesn't have any grey dots. So, do I know anything about this? I don't know. I can't see how to do that. Let me just think about this, sorry. I mean, there's certain obvious points, like obviously it's not possible for both of these to be blue. Oh, yeah, okay, that's a purple domino, isn't it? Because if these were both blue, we've got a 2 by 2 there, and if they were both orange, this blue can't ever meet its friend. So that's purple. Now this one has to be... So if this is orange, it connects directly, and there's probably no problem with that, providing this is blue. If this is blue, then that would be blue, because we'd have to get the blue out without isolating an orange in our purple, and if that was blue, this would be orange and it would be isolated. Okay, I don't know about this one. We've got this is now blue, because if that's orange, haven't I isolated this Y in the top of the grid? Yes, you can't get that Y out. It's isolated, so that's got to be blue. So this yellow's, this orange has got to get out, so that's orange. Avoid a 2 by 2. So now I've got 4 purples, a triomino of green, and 2 white cells. Now, oh yeah, no, I think that is a genuine white cell, because this triomino can be either colour. Oh, I tell you what's terrifying as a thought, and that is that I've somehow got to start using the dots now. That does not seem to be appetizing at all. No, I was about to say that orange is under pressure if it's a black dot, because that would have to be 3, 6 in that scenario. Oh, no. Right, this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. I can tell you with some certainty, I think, that orange is consecutive dots. And that's because I don't have to look at this domino, I have to look at those. And really this. If orange was black dots, then these digits here would be the 6 black dot digits. The 1, 2, the 3, the 4, the 6 and the 8 in some order. There are no other numbers between 1 and 9 inclusive that can go on black dots, because the digits 5, 7 and 9, which would have to go in here, can't be in a 1 to 2 relationship with anything. 5 would only be in a relationship with 2.5 and 10, they don't work. 7 could only go with 3.5, 14, they don't work. And 9 could only go with 4.5 and 18, they don't work. But look, they're all odd. Now, one thing I know about consecutive digits is one of them must be even, so this cannot work. So that tells us that orange is consecutive digits and blue is black digits. So that's got to be a 3, 6 pair is what I want to say. Because if blue is black dots, and I think it is, then how can you create a run of 3 black dots? Well, The only ways are 1, 2, 4 and 2, 4, 8. So there's definitely a 2 and a 4 on here. And therefore this has no option to include a 2 and a 4 on its black dot, so it must be the sort of outlier one, which is a 3, 6 pair. That's not a 2. Still haven't got a digit, but I have got actual numerical pencil marks now. How long has that taken me? Oh, half an hour. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. So now, is there a negative constraint? There was a negative constraint, wasn't there? Let me just check the rules. Oh, the rules are long. All possible grey dots are given. So this digit has to be an extreme number. That has to be a 1 or an 8, because we know there must be a 2 or a 4 on this black dot. So this is a 1 or an 8. So this digit, can that really be 2 or 4 then? No, it can't, can it? If that's a 2, then this must go 4, 8. But that's going to make this a 1, which requires a black dot. That doesn't work. And if this is a 4, we can't go 8 and then down to 4 again. So we've got to go 2, 1. And now this square needs to be an 8, and that has a black dot on it. This is really clever. This is really clever. So the point is, oh, this is why this 2 is here. This is what, this is so brilliant. It's absolutely beautiful. Right, so this can't be a 2 or a 4, which means the 2, 4 that must exist on a triple black dot sequence have to be in these 2 cells. But there's a 2 looking at this one, so that has to be a 4. That has to be a 2, that has to be a 1, that has to be an 8, that has to be a 4. And I've got digits all over the place. Well, not literally all over the place, but I have got several, 5 digits I've managed to add to the given. So these are the squares that can't be on black dots now. These are 5, 7 and 9 in row 3. And now we will say that. Now, yeah, no. Now that's a 3, 6 pair, isn't it? It can't be 4. It can't involve 4 or 2. So its only option, if it's in a 1 to 2 ratio, is 3, 6. So now these white dots, I know they're orange dots, but you know what I mean. These orange dots have to contain consecutive digits. So one of them is going to be a 1, 2 pair. One of them is going to be a 4, 5 pair. And then there's going to be an 8 with something, which is 7 or 9. So that central cell is a 7 or a 9. Now, 1 has to go with 2 on a white dot here. So that, right, yeah, this is good as well. Okay, so where does 1 go in the middle box? It's not here. If you put it here, this would have to be a 2 because of the dot, and that doesn't work. So it's not there, so it's not in those cells. If it goes here, that has to be a 2, and that's not going to work. So I think the 1 has to go there, and that has to be a 2. And 1 has to go in one of those cells. And that tells us the colour of that cell. Because one of these is a 1. How would it ever work if this was blue? If this was blue, because there's a 1 on one side of it, there ought to be a black dot connecting them, because 1 and 2, one of them is half the other one. So that's not possible. So this has got to be orange. That's got to be blue. And that looks nice, doesn't it, in terms of our blues are connecting nicely, our purples our oranges are connecting nicely. And okay, and now 4, which is on a dot, is in one of those cells, which means 5. No, 5 can still be in all 4 of those positions, so that's very annoying. 8 has to be in one of those positions as well. Okay. bother. Right, where do we look next? Do we know... what do we know? Do we know... Do I know what's going on here? I've got a triple orange dot relationship, which can't involve a 3, because 3 is bounded here. So I've got to have 5, 6. So there has to be a 7 on here. Is that correct? I think so. It's a run of 3 digits, and it has to be we have to be using digits higher than 4. So the minimum would be 5, 6, 7. The maximum would be 7, 8, 9. So there is a 7 in here. Which is absolutely useless. That's horribly useless as well. Okay, you can say there's no 3 on this white dot, or orange dot, because obviously it needs a 2 and a 4 on it. But there's still, these digits can be from 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and we don't, I think, have any restriction on what they are. This orange dot... that's a 1-2 pair, good grief. Right, okay, look at this orange dot. Now, because we've got 3s, 6s and 8s already taken up in the box, how are we going to make this a consecutive pair? We can't use 9, we can't use 7, so they're out. So we have 2 choices. It's either 1 and 2 or 4 and 5, and there's a 4 in the column. So this is a 1-2 pair. Oh, this is right, this is beautiful. Now I know what green is. I know what green is, because how on earth now would you make this a blue dot? Do you know what I mean? A black dot. If this was a black dot, it needs to involve the only digit that's not been used of the possible black digits you can put on a black dot is 4. And if I put 4 on there, I need to accompany it with a 2 or an 8, neither of which are available. So this is orange, which means all 3 of those are orange, which means this is blue to avoid a 2 by 2. Now this has to be consecutive, and I think it's got to be 4 and 5, because 7 and 9 are not available because of the 8 here. So this has got to be 7 and 9. And now, oh, this is gorgeous. Now look, I've got 1, 2, 4 and 8 looking at a black dot at the bottom. So this has to be a 3 or a 6 because it's a black dot digit, which means that that's a 3-6 pair, which means that I've got a 3-6 pair in this column. And I've got, what else have I got? I've got, yes, okay, well actually I know what this dot is then. Because this digit, yeah, I know I do. This digit cannot be a 3 or a 6 by Sudoku, of all things, and it can't be a 4. Well, it can't be a 4 on either of these cells, so there can't be an 8 on either of these cells. So that has to be a 1-2 pair, which very annoyingly doesn't seem to be resolved. Oh no, hang on. I've got a 1 and a 2 over here now, which means I can't put the 1 there, because if I put the 1 there, because of the orange dot, this would be a 2, and it would see that 2. So that's not a 1. And oh, this is where I'm going to get into trouble, isn't it? Because the negative constraint is something I'm just not good at using. What now? 4s and 5s have to be in that little 2 by 2. Actually, I'm going to pencil mark that. There's got to be a 4 and a 5 in those cells. I mean, obviously they can't both be in there because that would need a dot, because that is orange. So there must be a 4 or a 5 here, which means, oh, hang on, right. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? So the 5 must be here because of this 4. I hadn't spotted that 4. I didn't do the Sudoku. There's a 4 in one of those. The 5 is in this 2 by 2. It can't join the 4, so the 5 moves this way, which means there's a 5 in one of these. And oh no, there's no negative constraint cross color. So this can be 5 because this is not in the same color sequence. Aha, right, but that digit is interesting, because where are we going to put that cell in box 4? Whatever this digit is can't go there because there's a 3, 6 in the column, and it can't go there because that was going to require a black dot. So it's got to go there, which means I've got, yes, okay, which means I've got a 3, 6 pair now. So maybe I've got to colour my 3s and 6s. So this column now needs 5s, 7s and 9s. And we know there's a 5 down here. So this is now a 7 or a 9, which makes a pair in row 5. Good grief. Ah, no. Right, beautiful. Right, how could yellow be 3? If yellow's 3, there's a 3 on the dot up here, which needs a 2 or a 4 to make consecutive sequence. I've already looked at this. You can't put that up there. I've already got a 7 pencil marked, for instance. So that means that this must be a 6, which means this is... Oh, no, that's okay. This is a blue dot relationship, which doesn't... Even though these are consecutive, that's fine in blue dot land. So this 6 means that's a 6, that's a 3, which means that's a 6, that's a 3, which I think places 3 by the negative constraint in this box now, because 3 can't be there, and if I put it here it should have a black dot and doesn't, so that's a 3. So there's a 3 down here. Right. So what does that mean? Answers on a postcard, please. I do not know. Oh, okay. I've got a 7, 9 pair looking at this box. So that square is a 7 or a 9. And oh, it's not a 7 because there's a 7 on this sequence. Yeah, that's right. There's got to be a 7 on this triple of consecutive digits. So that's got to be a 9. Which means that's 7, that's a 9 in the centre of the grid. There's a 9 down here. These two squares have got to be 5 and 8 to complete that box. So these two squares have got to be 4 and... what is it? 4 and... oh, 4, 1 or 2. Sorry, okay, I've got a 1, 2, 4 triple at the bottom. That's not 2. This 7 means I can get rid of the 7 here. So now I've got a 5, 9 pair here, which is still uncoloured. Well, it's purple, but you know what I mean. Now what do we do? So now we will argue that this column's got quite a lot of digitages, hasn't it? It needs 1s, 2s, 7s and 8s. 1, 2, 7 and 8. We can't make this digit a 1 or a 2 because that would need a black dot. So this is a 7 or an 8. But we, really annoyingly, that digit can't be 2. But it could absolutely be 7 or 8 because although it would be consecutive with the digit above it, that's fine because it's in a blue relationship. So... wow, okay. Oh, do I know what that is now then? Or not? I know it's got a 6 in it. That's for true. So it's got to be either... oh no. Ah, yes, right. How could that be an 8? If that's an 8, those two are consecutive and they're in orange land, so that's not allowed. So that's 5, that's 8, and this has to be 5, 6, 7 now. And that means what? 5, 6, 7 here. I'm sure this is important. Hang on. Oh, well, the central digit of that string is always going to be a 6, isn't it? So let's do the easy stuff. Come on. 5, 7. This is cross colour, so I mustn't look at it. This is same colour, but unfortunately they're both odd, so there's no restriction. That's... ah, right, now I'm stuck, aren't I? Sorry. So perhaps I've got to pencil mark row 5. I need 1s, 2s, 4s and 8s. And that can't be 1 or 2. And I've put 5s in. Why have I done that? I didn't mean to. So this is a 4 or an 8. So this digit, if this is 8, this must be 7. And if this is 4, this must be 5. So this is odd. Oh, whoa. Sorry. That sounds like a very unhealthy plane that's just gone past. But that 7 can't be next to an 8 because it's in the same orange land again. So that's got to be 4, which means this has got to be 5. So we can take 4 out of here and we get a 1, 2, 8 triple, in which that can't be a 1 because that would need to be a 2. And these two squares have got to now be 7 and 8, and they are consecutive, so that's good. And these squares have got to be 3, 4 and 9. So that can't be 4, can it? Because it can't be consecutive with 2 or 8. Yeah, this has got to be odd. So this is 3 or 9. Oh, if that was 8, we would know this would have to be 3 by negative constraintage. 3, 4, 9. Still don't know the colour of this. Is still the unknown colour. There's only one of those left now. Oh, that can't be 5. This is in orange dot land, isn't it? Can I do something with that? I can see it can't put 3 on here because 4 and 2 are not available. So this is from 6, 7, 8 and 9. And that is incredibly well, it is incredibly unhelpful. Oh no, alright, where does 3 go in that column? I can see that, that can only go there. So there's a 3 up here. And this square's got to be 7, 8 or 9 now by Sudoku. It can't be 6. Right. That can't be 6, because if that's 6, it's next to 5. So that's not 6. I don't know. How many dots have we not used now? We have not used... That's not 9, I've just noticed. I've not used these ones. I think these are the only ones left. Gosh, that's really disturbing, isn't it? What am I missing here? Good grief. 3 has to be in this domino in box 8. Oh, that's it. Wow. Okay, now look at... Yeah, okay, this is the way to look at these. You have to look at the 3 and 6 combined. And you can see they're locked into those 3 cells, and you can't put them both in blue. So this needs to be a 6. And therefore this cell needs to be consecutive and can't be 5. So that's a 7. Good grief, that's an 8 now out of absolutely nowhere. So now this digit has to be 8 or 9. And that digit at the top has to be 8 or 9 as well, which means this can't possibly be 5 or 6. So this is now 7 or 8. 6 goes here by Sudoku. So 6 goes... 6 is in one of those 2 cells by Sudoku again. And what do we have left to place in here? 5s, 7s, 8s and 9s. So let's put those in and see if we can see anything clever. We can see that... Right, yeah, this domino, because it's either 7, 8 or 8, 9, has an 8 on it. Oh, no, easier than that. There's a 7, 8, 9 triple in the top row. So that's a 5. Sorry, that was very easy and I didn't spot it. There's an 8. Right, there's still an 8 in this domino. So that's so there's now a 7, 9 pair in this row. There's a 5 here. So this is 5, this is 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 1 Now this might matter, mightn't it? Yes, no. Oh gosh, I was just about to claim this couldn't be 7 by negative constraint, but they're in different colours, so that would have been wrong. Oh, but I tell you what, that can't be 7, because that would be in the same colour, and that would be consecutive. So that's 8, that's 9, that's 9, that's 7. So this is 7. So this is 7, this is 8, and suddenly we're looking good again. We've got 1s and 9s to post down here. We've got 3s, 4s and 5s into these squares, and I've just noticed, of course, that this 9 is giving me an 8 here. That seems to not be able to be 3, so this is 4 or 5. And for our next trick, we will allege that... I don't know. Oh, good. Right, this has become an 8, so that now can't be 9 by negative constraint. So that's got to be a 2 to be consecutive. So these are a 1-8 pair, and these are a 4-9 pair. So there might be an opportunity. If we could work out this was a 4, then we would know its colour, because it couldn't be orange, because there's no dot. That's not a 3, look. So 3 is over there. Yeah, maybe the top row. We need 1, 2, 3 and 6. And that's not 6. And that's not 2 or 3. Or 6, because it's next to 5. Right, so that's a 1, that's a 1, that's a 2. This, well, let's keep going. That's a 3, that's a 6. 6 gets placed on a dot by Sudoku. There are 4 6s looking at box 9. What else has this done? Well, it's given us these digits. These are 2, 4 and 8. We know that's not a 2. Do we know more than that? No, this... Well, at least we've got even and odd here, so maybe we can do something with that in a minute. Oh, I know, that's interesting. This is a 6 on a dot, so that's a 5 or a 7, and that makes a 5-7 pair in the column, so that's a 9. So these are... Oh, there's a 5-7 pair here now, which somehow doesn't seem to resolve anything in this column. Oh, and I know these are different, so that's not helping me. Oh, but the bottom... Yeah, the bottom digit in this column is a 4 or an 8, and it can't be an 8, so that's a 4. So that's an 8. And I've got a 2-4 pair up here, but cross colour, so that's not helpful. The 4 is giving me a 5 here by Sudoku. So I've got a 3-4 pair in box 8. I've got... still not used this digit. Oh, huge. Huge! Yeah, this is it. What's this? What's this? It's in a black dot relationship, and it can't be 8, 6 or 4. So it's a 1-2 pair, I think. That's absolutely mighty, because now that's a 9, that's a 1, that's a 4, that's a 1, that's a 1, that's a 2, that's a 7, that's a 2 in the corner, that's a 9, that's a 5, that's a 4, that's a 3. This is going, isn't it? That's 5, that's 7, that's 5, that's 7, that's 5. Don't be a deadly pattern, don't be a deadly pattern. Now I've got 7 and 9 here, that's resolved. That does the 9 and the 4, which does the 4 and the 2, which does the 2 and the 1 and the 8. 8 goes here, and that's a 3. Oh, I suppose, right, so I've done the puzzle, I think. I'm just going to click tick, but obviously I haven't finished it. Yes, I have done the puzzle, but now we've got to somehow resolve the yin-yang. And how do we do that? We've got to say, right, that's very clearly not orange, because those two would need a dot. So that one's got to be blue, and that one's got to be orange then, because we're one of each. We need to get the orange out. So that's all fine. Let's get rid of the yellow flash there. So we get a bichromal grid at the end. Now, let's look at this one. This looks like it's, well, I can just, yeah, that can't be blue because that would be in a black dot relationship. So that's got to be orange. This has got to be blue. Imagine designing this so that everything works and you still have to use, you know, a bit of Sudoku and a bit of black dottage negative constraint at the end to finish the yin-yang. It's just so clever. Now this might be the complicated bit because of this cell I haven't coloured. So those two I can see they can't be both blue. Yeah, okay. So if this was blue, how would this ever work now? Because we need to get this blue out without isolating an orange. And the only way of doing that would be to take a blue here. Because if we made this the blue, this would be orange and isolated. So that is in fact orange. And that means that, or we have to get the blue out. I see. Oh, it's so clever. Good grief. And now that's got to be orange. Or you get a 2x2 of blue. So that's the finished puzzle, I think. That is, again, just sublimely clever from Fistamafel. And actually, one of my better solves of one of his puzzles, it only taken me an hour. Just absolutely fantastic from start to finish. I love the fact that you could actually do quite a lot of shading. You could almost finish the yin-yang without actually thinking about Sudoku at all. But then you needed to use the yin-yang colouring to fix, you know, which was the black colour and which was the white colour. And then you could do quite a lot, and the negative constraint was super powerful. And it all crystallises at the end with sort of a finish of the yin-yang that you'd done at the start. It's yet another magnificent puzzle. Oh, and that reminds me, speaking of magnificent puzzles, this puzzle here has been getting quite a lot of attention on social media. This is the one that we published yesterday by Rubens Cube. It is a masterpiece. It is a genuine masterpiece. I don't want to spoil it for you by telling you what the trick is, but you need to have a go at this puzzle if you haven't seen it yet. And please, if you have seen it and you did love it, share it with your friends. Share it on Reddit. Share it on Twitter. Share it everywhere. And let's see if we can make this puzzle go viral, because a lot of you have said this reminds you of the first Miracle Sudoku. It is something miraculous happening here. So definitely check that one out as well. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.